Man, I'm looking at this and it's just crazy to see how many easy A's we have in the game now. It's really wild. And today we're going to take a look at my tier list for Dokkanfest TUR Easy A's. We got one new addition very recently, and actually another unit, this Piccolo. I never actually did an Easy A TUR tier list with him, so I'm going to include him. And then we also have the physical Beerus right here, who just got their Easy A's, fun enough. Yeah, fun enough, actually, it's literally back-to-back TUR physical units on JP, I believe, that received their Easy A's. Because there's no other unit in that time that's a TUR, yeah, that received their Easy A. It went from 17, then Piccolo, then the Beerus. That is actually quite funny. Okay. But yeah, we have physical Beerus now, and I think overall they did a fine job with this Easy A, but there are a few things about him that I'm not really a fan of. So we're gonna talk about all that right now. So I guess I want to focus on the goods first, because it's always good to be positive about that. I like this debuff. This debuff is pretty good. This Beerus is able to do some pretty good attack stats for a Dokkanfest TUR. I mean, this man, on his active skill turn one time, I got him to a 21 million attack stat, which is supremely powerful. And you have to keep in mind, he's super effective during that turn. So the turn with his active skill, which I don't think it's like, I feel like it's not as easy as you think it would be to get off, because the team that I ran him on, specifically the Turles team, there's just so much healing on that team. It's insane. But if you're able to get this off, dude, it's really crazy. And even defensively, this man's able to get to like almost a million defense, right? Once his full passive was up, and he has potentially 70% reduction, but I think from there is where we kind of can get into some of the negatives about this Beerus. Unfortunately, he does have some design, I guess you could say, like, not really a flaw, because they're definitely intentional, and I think it does balance out the unit in a fashionable way. It's this right here. I think this restriction at the end of the day is still too tight. So he gets 40% reduction with 3 key spheres. That's very easy to get. Not really difficult at all. Then he gets an additional 30% with 7 key spheres. Now that is definitely, I feel like, a pretty big jump from 3 to 7. 4 additional key spheres. That is a lot when you don't have like rainbow orb changers floating around. And even then, I ran this guy on a team with like Dokkanfest Kid Goku floating around and Shilai floating around. And there are situations where RNG is just not on your side and you miss out on that extra 30% reduction. Now, it's not necessarily the end of the world missing out on that extra reduction, but it really does matter in a lot of situations, especially where this comes to play. He gets basically a majority of his stats after he receives an attack. So what happens is, I've experienced in a good amount of bosses where I didn't get the full 70% damage reduction, and he takes like 70, 80k, maybe potentially even more against certain bosses before his reduction is built up, or the full stats, I mean. And the reason for that is because this Beerus starts off pretty, I think, low with his defense stat. He's usually around like 220k for me. I think it's a really good range where he starts off at without support. Maybe he reaches like 250k, 260 at most if you have him with support on rotation. And obviously getting 150% of that is a huge number, because that more than doubles essentially, right? But it's like, I don't know, once he gets this up, he's fine. I think against a good amount of super attacks in the game, like, he is able to even live Sin Shenron super attack with this up, depending on the HP you have. Mine took about 600k without support, which the fact that he lived, I feel like still is relatively impressive with just the 40% reduction, because he doesn't like stack defense or raise defense or anything on a super attack effect, which is that raising defense on your super attack effect is important against that fight, because that's the defense that Sin can't debuff, right? Excuse me, if you're unaware, Sin's defense debuff is only for defense that's basically in the passive, which Beerus is only in the passive, so he gets a pure 40% cut from his defense, which is, again, a little unfortunate for the Beerus, but he took 600k, and I'm like, he did live that. I would have liked better, though, but if Beerus is able to get his reduction, full reduction before he attacks, and his full passive is up, he's able to live any super attack in the game, which I think is Pretty good for a Dokkanfest TUR at EZA, right? At this point, most units in the game have like some mechanic at least to survive these big boss super attacks. Damage reduction is definitely one of them, but if this Beerus gets supered after he attacks, you still will eat a considerable amount of damage in these final phases, like Metal Cooler Core, like against Shenron. Broly probably would do a decent amount of damage to this guy still. But overall, he's able to live in a lot of those situations regardless. Then you have a lot of healing on that team like Beerus and Whis, who's this guy's best partner, right? They could heal a good amount of HP once they get a couple of super attacks off. Turles on that team heals, right? Connoisseur, they have that link that heals as well. Overall, I think this Beerus is fine designs. He just needs a better spot, I think, for the most part. Or what they could have done is they could have made his Rainbow Orb changing against all enemies. Just like, you should have just had the Rainbow Orb changing for free. And then sure, maybe super effective against Realm of Gods. That's not the biggest deal if he has or doesn't have that. But I want his consistency with the damage reduction. I think that's really important. So that he's not relying on other units. And it's like, Kid Goku doesn't really work on that, you know, Turles team, really. He wants to be with these Dragon Ball Saga kind of units for the most part. Or like kind of, at least like some pure Saiyans on the family units. It's ideal for him. And Chilai is good. I think Chilai can run on the team, but that's only one orb changer. That's on every, 6 turns, right? Essentially for Floatingra as a support. It's not consistent enough for the Beerus to get his Rainbow Orb changing, or the Rainbow Orbs, in order for him to get his full 7, like, key. Unless you get really lucky with how the orb field plays out. And that's pretty much the biggest issue with this unit, is that consistency with his orbs. If you're able to work around that, though, he is definitely a beast. Now, here are my tier list, right? My updated tier list here. So, Blue Kaioken 1, Piccolo 2, Gogeta Blue 3, then I have 17 at 4, actually. I think Beerus slides in right here. I mean, should I do this? I actually think I will do this. This is like a last minute kind of switch. I think you can make the argument for either one. But maybe Beerus I would have above 17. I guess we'll talk about 17 now that I'm talking about him. The reason why I might have Beerus above 17 is because I feel like regardless, you could control this reduction a lot more easier than you can control 17 being under this. And I think it's a much more even split, with Beerus having the 40% here and then the 70%, rather than 17 having the full 57% reduction even after he attacks. I think that does matter, because the 17 also, he has to get hit a couple of times and it stays, but it's like, you know, if you don't get this guy hit throughout the fight, at the end he can get really creamed by a lot of these bosses' attacks. And Andrew's not in a really good spot right now. Whilst Beerus, I think he has a really good partner. I feel like I would have Beerus above 17, but let me know what y'all think. I think I would, and you know, he also provides a lot to the team with his offense. He's pretty strong offensively, I think, for like an easy 2R, doing like 13 to 16 mil, even just like normally, without any like extra help or anything like that. Like, he's not super effective or anything, but I think those are pretty good attack stats to hit. Well, 17 not, he's more defensive orientated, but I feel like I like what Beerus is able to do against these final bosses a bit more. Even though the 17 is like a defensive unit, I just feel without this, 17 is just way worse. Like, without this, it's just way worse, and it's just how it is. But Beerus without this, he still could be really good, I think. So that's why. I don't think he stands up to Gogeta, Piccolo, or Blue Kaioken Goku. Gogeta, he's just you know, he's a Saiyan, right? And once he's transformed, I think he's just way more consistent offensively and defensively. There's no orb restrictions you have to worry about. There's certain situations where he may be unable to take normals before he attacks, like against Shenron's AoEs. But after he super attacks, he's still able to tank every normal in the game, in my experience. Like, even against Shenron, he may need this up for the 2 turns, but I mean, he transforms in turn 4 anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. This unit, a little weak, I think, but all you have to do is float him off and you get this guy out, and it's not really that bad, right? Having this guy, because he still has a 50% chance to dodge. This Piccolo, I think the Scouter's too strong, stacking defense. He's able to survive these enemy super attacks very more commonly, especially once you're transformed here. And I think that he just provides more to the team with his healing. Not as strong offensively, but I think that with the Scouter, that's just too powerful an ability. Blue Falcon Goku is just Blue Falcon Goku. I mean, he's just he's just better version of Beerus, kind of. Like, Beerus could be more tanky, I think, before he attacks, but this guy's damage just like eclipses what Beerus could do, and he still is pretty, like, I feel like people think that this guy sucks defensively. When his guard is up and he like triple supers, he's like a 600k defense at least with like guard, right? From what I'm like thinking. He's just, this guy's just stupid. Like, I don't know what else to tell y'all. So this is how it would have in terms of tiers, I think. Yeah, see, I have Beerus here. Okay, so I guess I just... No. See, I guess I did mess it up. I meant to put Beerus here for sure then. Yeah, I'm probably just stupid. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, this is the same as it has been since, like, my other tier list. Yeah, right. It just... These two are knocked off. Not really much to say here. I mean, I guess some people would be like, "Oh no, Cooler actually should be up here because Cooler offense support." Like, sure, man, you know, you can keep it. That was not too. I was not trying to be rude there, but I just came out like that. But if you like Cooler Brother, sure. I mean, they're in the same tier, just whatever. It doesn't even matter. I don't care anymore. But I would say Beerus, I think, is up here in the realm with these guys, and this guy definitely by himself in his own tier. At first, I see a lot of people saying Piccolo's better than this guy, and I just disagree. When Piccolo came out and I was kind of still using him new, I was like, you know, Piccolo maybe could be on the tier with this guy, but just no. Even right now, I just don't think so. This guy's so stupid. This kind of became me just like, just like totally just like, Blue Falcon Yoku, right? But like, y'all know me, I'm a defensive lover, but this guy is kind of different, you know? That's all I'm gonna say. It's funny. I used to hate this guy, like, pure easy, but nice. They had a guard, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's kind of cooking. I'm done, though. Let me know what y'all think about Beerus in terms of EZT wars. I've seen a lot of people say this guy was the best EZT war, and I think at first I was kind of like, yeah, but the key consistency really gets him. I think that if Beerus was like always like 70% reduction, like even if it was just before he attacks, I could see myself even putting him above Gogeta. But I think this is a good spot because like these guys are all good. Like I want to call any of these guys bad. And EZT wars are usually kind of balanced out, except for this guy for some reason. Like I think all of these guys are like reasonably balanced. So thanks for watching. Beerus is pretty good, I still think, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.